Hey, what's up, Grease Monkey Nation? This is Neil from the Tower Climbing Grease Monkeys. And today's show, we are recording for a podcast. We are going to be talking about how small businesses survive and thrive in big wind. And this was an interesting conversation that I decided to bring up here on this show because I was contacted by a young man named Casey Ford who recently started a business that involves pressure washing and cleaning wind turbines. This guy was a technician. He worked in the oil field. He did all kinds of cool stuff. And then I thought, what better way to kind of connect the dots and help him out and talk about something that I think is quite unique, which is how small businesses actually come about within wind, and then go out and become bigger businesses. And so I brought in another friend, which you guys have seen a couple weeks ago. We went out to Quebec, Canada, and we met Evan Mulrooney. And so we got him to come in. And today I think is going to be a fun show. If you could definitely share this around. We're sharing this here in the Tower Climbing Grease Monkeys group, and we want you guys to share it with your friends. Unfortunately, nobody can see it if they're not a part of the Tower Climbing Grease Monkeys group. But I think that's actually a pretty cool thing. So without further ado, welcome to the show. This is an interactive show where you can call in. We have a phone number that is 435-709-TCGM. You can call that number when we open it up for calls, and we will actually be able to talk to you, and you'll be able to talk to myself and all of our guests. So again, today's show is how small businesses can thrive in big wind. And I'd like to introduce our guests now. So our first guest that kind of started it all off, this is Casey Ford. He'll be coming in here in just a second. There he is. Casey, how you doing,
Hey,
man?
Neil. Doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Casey,
Yeah.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you live and what you do?
Okay. My name is Casey, again, Ford. I started um, early, 19 or 20 years old out of college. Went straight to the oil field. Um, Busted my butt for the last decade or so, and kind of been in and out of the wind. As a Started pressure washing with the company and kind of worked my way up and became a manager at that uh, company. And then it got kind of tight, and so I went back to the oil field, and then went back to this company. And while we were kind of bouncing around site from site, I was lucky enough to earn a spot for Vestas/Upwind, and as their quality control leader. And from then, for the last few years, I've been a site tech and quality management and all that good stuff. And then I went back to the oil field and saved up a little bit of money and was able to start my own pressure washing business. And we built it from the ground up. And here we had a big contract with Vestas, and it's still kind of in the mix. And we just did a job for Avangrid, and so we're trying to get our name on the board, and just doing the best we can. And we're based out of Oklahoma City. I
Okay.
live in Oklahoma City, and a lot of my guys live right up around this way. So
So
that's
how
that.
many guys you got right now?
We've got about 10 people, about
Okay.
8 employees, and then a couple of an accountant, and my wife she's the co-owner, and so
Excellent.
we're
Yeah,
we're,
that's
we're,
good,
we're
man. Women-owned businesses do well, and
yeah.
you actually get a little bit of a break. Actually, got
Yes,
to set yourself up for success.
yes, sir.
I really enjoyed hearing your story. We had a conversation before this a couple of days ago, and I said I'd give you an opportunity to be on this show and kind of
Yes,
tell
sir.
your story. I'm going to introduce my next guest here, which I think we all can have a nice conversation because Evan's been doing this a while, and I'll let him talk about what it is that he's created and how he's moved it forward. And maybe we can learn from one another and talk about some of the key subjects about how small businesses survive and thrive within big wind.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Evan, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I'm back again from a couple of weeks ago, and we can go through my story a little bit. I started out about the same as Casey has, as a tech in the field, and that was about 14 years ago. So it definitely grew. The wind industry grew since then, and small businesses been popping up everywhere.
Yeah, you've you've done quite well for yourself, Evan. I think you've got over 100 technicians right now, right, in Canada.
Yes, approximately right about now, about 125.
Excellent. And Evan is coming to us live right now from his boat shop, which is his other business, where he manufactures boats, much like the boat that we went out on in the Gaspee Bay right there and went fishing. If you guys got to see that, so he he's quite the serial entrepreneur. How many businesses do you have, Evan?
As of now, 5.
Golly.
Yeah, right. I think Casey, you could agree with me that I'm just trying to have the one, but
Right.
somehow he's doing it well.
Yeah, like is it stressful, Evan? Like I found it, man, it's been stressful just owning one.
It's definitely stressful, but eventually you get used to that stress and you thrive on it.
Nice.
That's good news.
There's I think I guess I could put myself in the same category, right? Like I've started myself a business here in this, and so I think we're all just entrepreneurs here, talking over what it is that we can do to survive in this game, and we all kind of have a little bit different of approach. But what makes you two kind of similar here is that Evan actually started off, with the same intent as you did, and I think that was just like, hey, I could do this, I could do it well, and I don't necessarily need to do it for somebody else. I could do it myself. And you even share similar things that you've done in the past and even currently do. I think, Evan, you guys do rope access work in Canada, and you also go on platforms and you can clean the outside of the tower there in Canada. So I think, Casey, you that's exactly what you're doing in the U.S.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct. We can just about any part of the turbine on the outside, exterior of it, and even interior. We can do interiors of the turbine. We have specially made tarps for each cabinet inside the turbine, and we'll slowly climb up and wash them with our degreaser, and then once you get to the top, you'll just run fresh water, and all that time you'll have a shop vac or whatever you need, depending on how much water you're running to going at all times to keep water from accumulating in the basements, and it's just kind of a process.
Yeah, you're mixing water with an electrical system, right? And that has
so. yes.
That's definitely an interesting thing. So, Evan, let me ask you this, man. I think we talked about this a little bit, in person, but what was it that made you just want to go after this and do this on your own? I mean, you have an interesting story, man.
I think the main reason was the need for it. In Canada, where I was located at the time, there wasn't any people offering these services locally. There was only one other company in Canada, and it made sense to do it. I think I worked my way up in the field after over 3 years and decided I knew the turbine enough to go out on my own. And I think it was, at the end of the day, it was really the challenge.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if I was like, yeah, let's have the challenge, at least on my end. Like I wasn't like, yeah, let's do that. That didn't sound great, but the part was that I just wanted to add some more value to the industry, and I think that's exactly what drove you too, Evan. You wanted to add value and be able to add the service that was missing. Casey, you're kind of in a little bit different of a competitive space. What was your driver to kind of get out there and start this thing up after all your experience?
Yeah, my drive was just kind of family more than anything. To be honest with you, I just seen an opportunity to just better myself and my family. And I sat at the kitchen table for on my days off for hitch. We usually work. I was working about 25 and 25 days on, 5 days home, and on my 5 days home, I'd sit at the kitchen table and work on this company, building it, and then I would get to where it got hard, and I'd say, oh no, this is just a little too much, and then I'd go back out to the field, the oil field, for 25 days or so, 20, 25. And then when I got home, fresh, I'd keep on going and I'd jump over that hump that I came to. And then I'd get to another hump. And then I'd say, oh, this is just a little too much. And then, eventually it just came to where I jumped over all the humps and it was time to put up or shut up. And so and I had my wife and my mother-in-law, my family backing me, and just said, let's take the leap, and yeah, everything looks good, and that's kind of what got us going.
Well, good for you, man. I'm proud
Yes,
of you, and I think that you're going to do well here.
thank you.
Um, I think the reason for that is just your authenticity and the drive that you have behind it. And it sounds like you're definitely trying to take care of all these people that you have working with you.
Yes, sir. That's
And that's
that's kind of my ultimate goal. Sorry to cut you off. That's as a goal. Like it truly makes me feel good to be able to provide for upwards to 10 people and their families, and of course my own, but just knowing that they count on me and I'm able to help them provide for their family, like there's no better feeling than that. Money is not my drive. I mean, of course, it's unfortunately everything's about money these days, so you have to have it, but my drive is, like I just said, to be able to take care of these people, and that's what makes me feel good at night when I lay down.
yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with Casey 100%. That's one of the main reasons why I started off as well. I started with six of my close friends and gave them jobs, and
Yeah,
I grew into 125 technicians. I would like to know all their families. I don't.
man,
It's almost impossible to do that now, but
that's awesome.
it was the main reason to start.
It feels good going to sleep at night. I long for the day that I can take care of that many people and their families, and be that person.
Evan does a pretty good job at it, man, and the environment that they have over there at Techéol is a really good one.
Nice.
And I was super impressed by the shop and the organization that they had. They had a really good shopkeeper, and everything was really organized. And I think that's huge, in the success of anything. My question to both of you guys is simply, what do you think some of the biggest hurdles are for the small guy getting into big wind right off the bat? What what do you think some of the hardest things were? Casey, you've got a good story. Evan, I'm sure you've got some good ones too, man. Just chime in whenever you want.
Right now, kind of our most recent hurdle has been the vendorships, which it just takes time, and it's kind of, I mean, being new to the business management and that aspect of it. It's kind of unexpected, not knowing that, because like you said, authentic. I get work done and I just handle business. So it's different whenever you have to sit back and you just have to wait for a month at a time for just a piece of paper to go through, and then you can go to work. I'm used to just going to work and getting it done, and So, I mean, the vendorship has kind of been our biggest hurdle right now, and getting a hold of the people that you need to get a hold of, and getting that vendorship approval process started. And that's kind of been ours right now. I don't know about you, Evan, but
No, I agree 100%. That is definitely it is the key to it all. Getting that first MSA, getting accepted, getting insurances, getting all the paperwork done in when you have no idea what you're doing for the first time with these big firms that have incredible amount of requirements to get accepted. It's the hard part. The work is the easy part. It's all the legal stuff around it that's complicated.
yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, all the legal stuff, you said it perfectly. Having the insurances and all that up to par that these guys expect, and you just basically got to go overboard so that you meet all their requirements, because if you meet one requirement, then it's a good possibility that you may not meet the liability dollar amount that the next company requires. And so you just have to go basically overboard and get so many millions of dollars in liability insurance. And it's all new to me, I guess, and would be anybody else.
No, definitely. It doesn't matter if you're 10 employees or 1,000 employees. It's all the same requirements. There's no exceptions, and that's the hard part when dealing with big wind.
Yes, sir.
So you guys are both service-based companies, and whether you provide the similar service or not, that's in common. What about some guys that have innovative products that they think that they could bring to the market? Evan, you've got some experience in that too, because you actually have developed quite a few things for people to put on their turbines, right? Tell us a little bit about that process and what it is that you offer, because that's another kind of business that you have as well.
No, definitely. I think that's even a harder business to be honest with you than service. Uh, it's uh, it's everyone's scared in the market. Everyone thinks they're going to get screwed by buying a new product. So it's a hard market, especially if you can trying to prove that you can increase production. That's seems like everyone never wants to show their numbers, and they think they know better on their own. So it's a very hard market.
Yeah, I think Evan, you have a few different things. One is like a way to optimize wind turbine alignment, right?
Yeah, that's the Optivane. It will increase the production of a wind farm by 1%. We've tried it on a full fleet of 85 GE turbines, and we proved this. And even with that proof, it's still a hard market to get in.
Yeah, and for companies that
After
are
3 years,
scrambling to even get any 0.5% out, that seems like a pretty good offering, but they think it's too good to be true, maybe. And then I think you even have like this coating that you could put on the blades, right? That would help shed ice a lot quicker, or at least like prevent adhesion or something of ice. Because in Canada, that's a big deal for you guys, right?
definitely. It's yeah, we developed a coating with a chemist. We did 3 years of testing, and right now we're reducing the ice adhesion factor by 4 times, meaning that the ice will let unstick from the blade 40 times faster.
Wow.
That's quite a bit faster, man. For sure.
That's a lot faster.
So that's another interesting thing for me is like I'm more interested in training technicians, offering the ability to create a community that guys can be excited to be a part of. You know, promote cool stuff that might not be seen. And really give like reviews on things. So my space is a little bit different, but I would love to come out with some really cool products like the unbreakable spray bottle, you know, the thing that everybody, the bane of everyone's existence when they pull the spray bottle out and it's broken from its trip up in the bag or whatever. You know, different products like that that I've seen my brother-in-law actually, who is an inventor and can say he's an inventor because he has, multiple patents. Um, he actually has struggled and still does struggle going through that process of like designing something that is a physical, tangible item. And most of the things that I see the techs coming up with are these types of things that make their jobs easier. And it's kind of a hard thing to see them struggle with getting their great idea to the market. And I wish there was some way that I could help them out to do that a little bit better. I'm not aware of it. Maybe you guys are.
Um, I would think that you would probably know a lot more better than me. I was gonna go back to getting your product and stuff on the market and how hard it is, and it's just uh, like alluding back to Evan when he said everybody thinks they're just gonna get worked over and like it's too good to be true. I kind of feel like we've almost hit that hurdle as well because we we were at a point to where we were running a couple of turbines a day, and the quality was just outstanding. We had everybody happy, and yet still here we are trying to just work our way up, and
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to grasp, knowing that you made everybody happy and you did everything right like you were supposed to do and had 100% customer satisfaction as guaranteed, and still it's just hard to make it happen.
No, definitely, I agree with you, Casey. But if you stick at this long enough and keep up your quality, you'll go
So
somewhere. That's the only thing I ever believed in. I'm not the cheapest, but I always guaranteed customer
yes,
satisfaction.
at all costs. That's the same here. Like I have one goal, and that's to make the customer and the site manager happy before we leave. Like I don't believe in having to call us back and do a job, and of course that job's going to would be for free and at no cost, but I don't believe in that. I believe in doing the job right the first time, and there's no other way to do it. And I want you happy when we leave, and that way when the next job is needed, we know we're going to get the phone call. And so in that aspect, yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Hey Neil, to get back on your question
Yeah.
about bringing a new product to the market, um, I had from my experience, go with a consultant right off the bat. Don't try to do it yourself. You'll burn a lot of steps if you take someone that hire someone that knows what they're doing, get
Right.
your product patented. I've tried to do it myself, and it took years on some products, and then you take a consultant that knows what he's doing, and it cuts it down to months. So that's my advice on that.
That's a great bit of advice, man, because I think so many of us try to um, to do everything ourselves. Even me, like I'll try to edit the videos, I'll try to record the videos, I'll try to find new business opportunities and do all this stuff. And the reality is, I'm only one man, and I have to do what I'm really good at, which is, kind of rallying the troops, hyping people up, talking about cool stuff, and being a cool representative. And that's my thing. And so I even need to learn from that and do some of that right now and shed some of those responsibilities and learn how to build and grow my team. So this is just as much a learning experience for me that it is, for Casey and Evan. I'm not sure if we're teaching you anything, but maybe we are. So my next thing here is so we've kind of talked about like the barriers of entry, right? Now, where is the ceiling to some of this? Like with the service companies, Evan, you said about 125 technicians right now. Casey, you're about 10, and where does it stop? Like, how big can you get as a service company, and is that beneficial to to the customers? Is it beneficial to you? Like, is it just added stress? I mean, how big is big enough, and what's the sweet spot? What do you think, Evan?
I think the sweet spot can really vary depending on what you do. Um, since the start, I always did a 20% annual growth, a controlled growth that I could handle with my team. With the day I seen that my management team can't handle it, I slow it down. It's depends who your managers are, who do you got behind you, and I don't think there's actually a limit. I think it's just got to be a controlled growth. Not good. Don't plan on going in the market from 10 guys and growing to 100 the next year because
Yeah.
you won't last long.
Get overwhelmed.
There's many companies that came in and tried that and fell, but I think a controlled growth and don't grow bigger than your team. Keep up as long as your team your management team will tell you when they can't go any faster. So listen, that's the important part.
That's awesome advice. Thank you.
And I like that because Evan, you do a really good job at going out and really kind of mentoring these guys within your company. And Casey, I'd take that an example too. And that's something that Evan is finally kind of being able to reproduce himself a little bit, but he still goes out there and does the work. Evan, you say you're going out to do a gearbox repair at like tomorrow or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. It seems like that. I don't get a flight yet, but I'll check that out as soon as we're done the show. Yeah, man, I'm back out in the field. I plan on training guys and building guys, and I want to know every one of my employees. It's always
Yeah.
been key to me. I didn't want to. I for a while I grew too quickly. In my opinion, and I wasn't back in the field, and I didn't want to lose my quality standards, so I decided to change things. So I get back in the field, hire managers that know how to manage. I'm a grease monkey since we're on the show. That's my background. So I go back. I went back in the turbine. That's what I do best.
Yeah, and I agree with you, man. It's so funny. I'm so far outside of my comfort zone here, and with this all this stuff, it's hilarious. I've got quite a uphill battle here just doing all this stuff. But I'm a lot more comfortable inside of a wind turbine, man, than being what I'm being. But that you don't ever grow unless you push yourself and you challenge yourself. And I think I'm a great living example of that. And I think you two are as well, because if you don't take the leap of faith, you're stuck in the same lane, and you can't go any further. My next question here is, should people that are really skilled at what they do, whether it be service or whatever it is, upgrading SCADA or anything, if they look at the market and they say, man, this market is super saturated with the same thing that I do you guys think that should discourage them, or do you think that they should just kind of differentiate and be able to still exist?
I would no, I would think like for you to take the jump, because I believe in the more the merrier, and just because there's a lot of people doing it doesn't mean that you might not have a better way of doing things, not necessarily better in just better than everybody else's, but it may just affect 10 people and be better for them the way they do things versus somebody right next to you who does the same thing, but it still helps in every direction. So, I mean, diversity, I believe, is a good thing.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think the main thing is if you want to go out on your own, are you ready to work 80 hours a week? You have to start up. I think you got to ask yourself that question. I think it depends on the person. I think some people are cut out for it, some aren't, and that's really, are you ready to put the effort that's required? Because it isn't easy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a good one. I actually recently read on LinkedIn, I think it was this article talking about Elon Musk, and he says he works like 120 hours a week or something like that. It's just something ridiculous. I think that guy's going to kill himself, or he's just on some other nonsense. Maybe you guys have experienced that. But I think what that equates out to is 17 hours every day or something like that. But yeah, I'm kind of lazy, man. So I don't know how. Let's ask the Magic 8 Ball here. Will Neil be successful in the next year? Let's see here. Let's see what it says. It says, better not tell you now. That's what it says.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hey,
So
Neil.
Shake it again.
Hey, Neil, you're definitely not lazy, man. I was with you. You're filming. You're doing what you do every hour that you're up in the day. So
yeah.
you were flying drones at 7 o'clock in the morning at my house. So definitely, yeah, I would consider that lazy. I
Yeah.
just think it's a different chore. That's all.
Yeah. We all choose our path and we choose like what we like to do. And I just so happen to like to fly little things in the sky and videotape stuff. And so that's kind of my thing, but I enjoy it. I got to tell you, when I look at this industry as a whole, and I look at some of the stuff that's going on, I ask myself, like, are we doing it for the right reasons sometimes? Like I look at some of these things, like the repower projects where they tear the turbines, down, 80% of their value, like the gearbox and the generator and the rotor and the hub, and they just chuck them and put them in the scrap because they have to. And I think about all the companies that are kind of reaping the benefit from that, and I think that the reason I bring this up is because there are small businesses that are being grown from that. And I think that's a benefit, and I think there's like pros and cons to all of this. And right now, would you guys say that we're kind of like in a little bit of a boom? I would think so.
Absolutely.
Definitely,
Yeah.
especially in the U.S.
Yeah. I think that repower stuff kind of adds to that. And so I would say that if somebody's watching this right now and they're holding out and they're saying, no, I'm not doing this right now, I'd say, have a heart to heart with yourself and figure out if that's really something you should be doing, because you might be able to get in and have a great opportunity. I think that's the reason I bring up, the repower stuff, some of the projects being built, and there's so many specialties out there, right? Like,
Yes.
how many different things can you do? I mean, I can think of a ton already. I personally, I didn't have, I don't think I had the fortitude to create a service business. A lot of people said, Neil, that tower climbing grease monkeys, man, that's a great fit for a service business. And I said, well, yeah, but I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. And so this is what I created, but that's okay. What businesses do you guys think are not being taken advantage of as much as you think they should? I mean, and if you had the opportunity, you would go after it a little bit harder. What is there something out there that you think that people could focus on and help improve the whole industry?
On my end, like, to be honest with you, what I'm doing right now, to my knowledge, there is only a handful of companies in the United States that are washing turbines, and that very well may be far off, but that I know of, I only know of just a handful, and so that's kind of why I went after it. And the more that are going up, the more that are going to be dirty each year, and so
We know
it's
that's
just,
gonna be a good one.
and so I mean
Our
that's kind of
turbines
where,
be completely, are they still going to get dirty? Let's ask the 8 Ball.
yeah.
It says, ask again later.
Yeah, that they're guaranteed to leak.
Yeah. What about you, Evan? What do you think? Is there a lane for somebody to kind of get in, and that seems a
Definitely.
bit wide open to you?
Right now, there's only a handful of companies looking into fiberglass recycling from the disposed blades. It's definitely been I know a few companies, so I won't mention them here I don't know. I don't think the public is supposed to know yet, but there's definitely some some people coming up with some ideas. Even locally here, if people are looking to make a playground out of used blades right now, which I
Yeah.
think is pretty neat right in our municipality. So, but definitely there's got to be some, I think there's got to be a lot more work done on this. It's the only unrecyclable material that's in the turbine as
Mhm.
of now, or considered unrecyclable. So, yeah, I think that's a good lane for people to invest and look for new ideas.
Absolutely, man. I can see that happening. A few different avenues with that, whether it's just straight recycling them, burning them, to turning them into, new fuel. Um, just to be able to see how those blades were constructed. Evan took me to, where did we go? It was,
LM glass fiber.
that's where we went. We went to LM, and man, that was cool to see how they make those things. So neat, and it's amazing how durable they are and how much they can actually take, and then how much you can just rework them to make them, new again. And that's part of what Evan does. But yeah, like, I even shared a little something on the group just this week about, they called them earth ships, and there are these houses that, they use all these recycled materials, and they're very efficient, so they don't consume a lot of energy, and then some of them even produce their own energy. I think a wind turbine blade on an earth ship is not too far fetched at all. I mean, that might be even like a decent roof or something. I don't know. They're huge, right? You could do all kinds of things. But yeah, it is so sad. I went through Texas and I saw all of those wind turbines coming off of the projects that they're repowering. It's like they're just cutting them in half. What do you do with them? They're piling them up. The same thing with the gearboxes. It seems like a real shame that, at least the OEM can't, pay a price to get them back if they want to rework them, because they're taking some out that are still good, and then they're mandatory that they scrap them or they don't get this, credit back. And it just seems like, backwards from what we're supposed to be doing. But the reason I bring it up is because I think just the repower project alone offer up a whole new area for people to, find businesses. And that's, fairly a new, um, market, I guess, the repower thing. We're all still figuring that one out.
Well,
I was,
sorry, Neil. Go ahead.
no, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, going back to those blades and their durability, like it's unbelievable. We did a couple years ago down in South Texas, where we cut them up and broke them down and just tore them apart, and it was an all day thing, 8 hours just tearing up one blade. And we used concrete saws and chainsaws and every other kind of tool that you could possibly think of, and it tore them up after a couple of days use. And it's just unreal how durable those blades are.
Casey, I can give you a few tricks and help you out for that.
Well, I might take you up on that.
Chainsaws, yeah. Don't get me close to a chainsaw. I haven't seen my scar. I damn near killed myself twice now, and so my neighbors now, they call me Chainsaw.
So we need to keep you away from the chainsaws.
Will Neil hurt himself again with a chainsaw? We're gonna ask that Magic 8 Ball.
Likely.
Ask again later. Man, this thing is.
He's not one to answer today.
Without a doubt, it says. Oh boy, I better sell that Husqvarna. So, I think one of the other topics I wanted to talk about within this is we've kind of overviewed, some of the barriers of entry, getting service agreements, just getting your foot in the door. Once you go past that barrier, then you're actually in, and you're competing with other larger companies, and at times these companies that you're bidding with, they're not necessarily big fans of you, right? Because you have a smaller amount of overhead. You can charge less, and you can do the same work, and you can do it efficiently. And so, unfortunately, what might happen is that the person that's requesting the quotes for the job, they might actually use you. Or I guess we could talk about not the person, but the actual company, right? They can use smaller businesses to drive down the quotes of the other people that they really already have relationships with, and you got to watch out for that.
Yep.
That's definitely an issue and a kind of another barrier of entry. Once you're in the game and you're doing the work, you got to kind of, have a good quality product. That's a thing. The other thing is that I think we haven't talked about yet is how do small businesses market themselves? And Casey, that's really, how you probably came up to look at me, and
Yes.
and we really do offer that for small business. We try to do that, do kind of like this organic type reach and be really authentic in it. But let's talk about how much trade shows cost. I mean, Evan, how much, money have you spent there? You don't actually have to tell me, but that's a lot of dough, right? Trade shows and marketing and all of that. I mean,
Yeah, just in trade shows, I'd say close to 100,000 a year. Give you an idea. And at one point, you kind of have to be there with your crew because that's where everybody meets, and it's ridiculous. It's the only thing in this industry that's more expensive is training cost. So that's
cost and trade shows, the two T.
Definitely.
When is AWIA this year?
It's over. But
I thought it was.
They
dang, I didn't know.
They got. I mean, it seems like they got 10 a year.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking it was coming up in San Antonio.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Evan.
No, the annual conference was in May in Chicago.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's actually where Evan and I met. So you're right. That's where you get things done. And in all honesty, you probably get more stuff done outside of the trade show floor in the evening hours. I think that's where Evan and I met via Brendan Wills, and that's how our relationship began. So really, man, I would say, Casey, get yourself out there in the area. Even if you don't go to the show, you can limit your cost, but you can get out there and you can talk to people, you can shake their hands.
Right.
Call me and I'll tell you where the party's at, and then show up and I'll help you out. I mean, and that's really what sometimes, consultants do is they just, they introduce you to the right people and you can talk to them.
And that, to be honest with you, that's kind of all that I need. I feel like, I just keep it real with the guys, and because at the bottom or at the end of the day, it's the guys are just one of us. Like, we're all just men with families and just living life. And so at the end of the day, when you just show that you're a decent person and a good guy, just looking to make it, it seems that most guys respect that, and whether it be men or women, they in my short term of marketing and advertising and meeting people, it just seems like that goes a long way and get you respect, and just telling it like it is and what you can do and what you can't do, and so
don't promise the world when you don't have it in your hand.
And that's
like, this is what I can do.
That's it.
You're just there it is.
That's what I bring to the table every time. This is what I can do for you. This is what we specialize in. I'd love to help you in this aspect, and let that be known. And it seems to work for us, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much wraps up all my topics of discussion as far as things going on within wind and the guys that are trying to make their way. I hope that we see more and more entrepreneurs come into this space to help improve it, to give it a little bit of, maybe some experience from the guys out in the field. I love seeing businesses that start from guys that have spent their time to work on these things. I think one of the biggest challenges is to communicate from your standpoint as a guy who's worked in the field to somebody who just has not, and for them to kind of get it, to understand it, and even just be on the same level. It seems like every department kind of has their own language, uh,
Definitely.
and the marketing guys don't have the same language as the technical guys. And I hope that I hope we see more and more come about, and I hope we see successful, transformations, and this industry gives back to us, and we can give back to it, and we don't just try to take. Um, I think you guys are great examples of that. Thank you for joining me. Again, if you guys want to check out these gentlemen, this is Evan Mulrooney, and he's with Techéol. They're based out of Quebec, but they're coming to the U.S. soon. So actually, right now, and Evan, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you. And then Casey Ford. Casey, your business is called The Pressure Is On, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Excellent. And Casey provides a tower cleaning service. He can clean just about anything. And if you're interested, get a hold of him. Casey can be found maybe online and a few other places. So
Yes,
you
sir.
let him know how to get a hold of you.
Yes, sir. I've got a brochure and a business card. If you need it, just give me a shout. You can always call me on my phone at any time, no matter the hour. Just give me a shout if you need something. 580-606-2041. And Neil, I sure appreciate you having me, and it means the world to us, man.
Well, thanks, Casey. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, that wraps it up again. And we had just a great show and a great opportunity to talk to these two gentlemen and to kind of talk about what it is that it takes to get into this industry, to be successful, as well as some of the challenges. I hope that many of you guys are inspired by these gentlemen, and maybe even inspired by me and what I do. If I can help you out in any way, I will do that. And I hope to see you guys soon. Just to wrap up here, we are going to Colorado in October. We're going to go to the NREL facility. We're going to visit the eSig Summit. We're going to visit as many wind farms as we can. I'm going to take the Tower Climbing Grease Monkey truck and trailer, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Before that, in September, we're going to Hamburg, Germany. And I can't tell you exactly what we're doing there yet, but I know you're going to like it. We got some cool stuff to give away, and we got a neat challenge that I think you guys are going to love. So thanks for joining me. This is a dream of mine to make this show and to make this podcast, and I think we get better and better every time we do it. And I appreciate you guys. I love you. And, from the Tower Climbing Grease Monkey to you guys have a great night. Thank you very much.